Yo, Munir.
Hey Rob,
Munir, how you doing?
I am doing great. Thank you so much. I would like to ask you what you did this week.
Wow, thank you. I appreciate that. I actually had a very productive week. I worked, which is always good, and the work that I did was meaningful. It was um, mainly comprised of client meetings and prospect calls, and those were really fulfilling and educational. Um, I'm excited to report that I am learning, which is a victory. I judge both my interest in something and my success in how much I'm able to learn, and I've just been learning so much. So super excited about that. Actually, I'm going to call somebody out because they're both a friend and a prospect. Um, Mike Mootno, Moot, Mike, dear friend from Major League Baseball days. He's been at MasterCard for years. We had a very lovely conversation this week, and so I'm grateful for him and his time. And yeah, been walking consistently, which is great. That started in August, and I've been really making time each day. And when I'm not, I'm supplementing that with stretching and other things. And so very, very excited to continue that process. And by the way, those walks also provide me with content for our show. Yeah. How about
I
you?
love it.
Yeah. Tell me.
I also had a week of focus on getting stuff done. I think we are in a run up to holidays, and so we were working hard. Great client calls as well for me. Had a couple proposals go out. And we had a company all hands. We have a monthly company all hands, which is always invigorating to see all everybody's faces and get excited about um, making sure we celebrate our wins from the past as well as talk about what we want to do and get ready for the holidays coming up. And then I got to see a host of friends locally, which was nice. Had a couple of dinner parties, and that's always refreshing, right? Talk about filling the tank. That fills the tank. And I went and played a little tennis today with some dads. We have a dad group, and it's like you say, moving your body helps clear the mind. And I will say, Rob, that I am starting to pay attention to things that I see during my week in a way that's very exciting for me based on these conversations that we're having. So that's always lovely. So my week was fantastic. Thank you.
That's great. It's interesting that you say that because I think I've always engaged with my learning activities as though I'm going to share them with the world, whether it's on a podcast with you or in conversation. I will read and take notes in margins. I will use my notes app. I will take screenshots. My screenshot activity, I've shared this with a dear friend, Casey Warren, who's a director out in the Pacific Northwest, part of the MINDCASTLE Duo. Casey and Danielle, brilliant people. We both have a screenshot habit that is worthy of examination. And I think if I had organized those screenshots into folders, we'd really have something. But I will screenshot a podcast at the time code that I'm interested in, especially if I'm walking, because I don't want to stop and take the note. The hope
Right.
is
Right.
that I'll go back to it as soon as I'm done with the walk, write it down, and have that. to remember. It doesn't always happen, but I have been getting better about taking those notes. And now, because we do, to your point, we do have somewhere to have this conversation, I've been adding them to my Yo Munir ideas notes, which at least means I look at them once a week in conversation with you.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic for me, and I have a similar habit. I was taking a lot of notes recently and using my notes app effectively. I would say last week when I was at a conference. I think I've been at my desk a lot this week, so I've been able to write some stuff down that way. But I love that idea, and I think the idea of maybe bringing some of that stuff into how we. I got some notes. We here's something. Here's something we should talk about. Something to talk about. So this is a surprise for you because we didn't talk about the fact that we were going to talk about this.
Yes.
I received some notes about our previous episodes from my 14-year-old son. What I love about receiving these notes is that he cared enough to listen to us, and he's a prolific watcher of these audio or video podcasts. And so he had some really good ideas, which you can now see behind me. Because he said, your background is too like blank.
Stale.
It's
Yeah.
too monochromatic. And so I rotated my desk, and this is actually in my office. And I do this this rotating of desk thing from time to time. I think it creatively is it's an interesting thing when you move, just like physically move things around. It gives you a new creative view on life. And so I do rotate my desk. Like it used to be, we used to do this in the office once a quarter. And at home, I'm doing it probably a little less than I should. But so I've rotated my desk. It was because of the notes we got. And I'm excited about the fact that somebody dear to us both took the time to say, I like what you're doing, but you could do it better. And here's some ideas. I love that.
You did share the notes with me, which gives me insight into the structure and the thoughtfulness that he took, and the he even applied screenshots and reference points of other shows that he liked to exhibit for us the creative look that we might consider. And I thought that was, I mean, as managers of people, anytime you're giving feedback, the more examples that you can show so people get an idea, right? And a 14-year-old doing that by saying, here's some ideas that I have. And oh, look, by the way, this is what it could look like. Very thoughtful. Thank you.
And your daughter did that for us too, really early on.
She did.
And I think that this sharing and this capacity for people to want to take ownership is also exciting for me. It's, the opportunity to advance what we're doing in a way that actually people want to watch more and could have a broader audience. So that's fun.
If I were to put a cynical spin on this, and I know a young Rob might think about this opportunity, the opportunity of feedback to a parent in a safe space is very appealing to me, right? How often do we get to be critical of our parents when they're asking for it? And so it kind of warmed my heart in that. I won't say that your son was doing that, but certainly through the young Rob lens of providing feedback where my parents were putting themselves out there in this way is appealing to me.
Well, whatever caused it to happen, I'm excited by it.
Same.
So
Agreed.
here we go.
We're aligned.
I have something else to talk about, Rob. That's a little bit of a hard switch, and I won't even say it's tangentially related. So I was noticing something recently about AI and its impact on what's in my LinkedIn feed. So I have noticed, and I don't know whether it's me or what it is, but the structure of posts, there's a writing style now and a structure of a post style that I am seeing more and more frequently. And it's actually turning me off now.
Hmm.
And, I'm guilty of this too. Like I have been using AI tools to assist me not only with the first draft, but sometimes with content. And more recently, I have realized that my content is becoming the same and it's not sounding authentic enough. So I've put a hard stop on that. I will still use it as a first draft and then I'll kind of throw out the AI writing because I'm not happy with where it's gotten to. And I'm wondering whether this is the concept of recursiveness, which is the idea that as we generate more AI generated content and the algorithm is using that AI generated content as it's learning, that it's spitting out a lot of the same stuff. Is this just me that's noticed this, or are you seeing something similar?
I think structure is a really underrated point about AI recognition and not so much even writing style, but how it's being presented and delivered. I think that's a great call out. And I agree. And I use AI for two core use cases. One, research. Research is, I find it to be a better capability than I've ever had at my disposal. Now, initiating research, though, because I will then go and look for other references and sources for the most part to enhance the first path. Second, for crafting different versions of a draft, revision, maybe not revision, but ideas. How can I say this differently? And usually I'll wordsmith a sentence, not an entire email or not an entire document. But usually when I'm stuck on delivering a message, I will look to AI to support me in how I can deliver that. Um, but for structure, I guess I've used it for structure too, but again, not for posts. I think we're seeing this. I assume we're talking about LinkedIn posts specifically.
Yeah, I am definitely referring to LinkedIn posts for the most part. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. When we get to infinite content, the differentiators for sure will be how things are delivered, how things are engaged with, and maybe even the type of platform that we're on. Right? If
Yeah.
we get to the world where you're only on an AI device and it's a blank screen essentially, no apps, no nothing, and it's just you and your voice. I think the hard part for me to get to is, um, yeah, I that then the delivery becomes preferences. Like you'll say deliver it in this style, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Um, because this is kind of the first iteration, right, that we're seeing. You're giving
Yep.
feedback on what feels like already peak AI creation for LinkedIn posts.
I mean, right now, I think that it's there's like the
V1,
bulleted list.
V1.
There's the forget just the M dash, right? So like the big giveaway is always the M dash, which normal writers haven't used as much, but apparently
Me is
it must be grammatically.
the emoji pointing down to tell you to read something. No, maybe that's not AI generated, but from a structure standpoint, I think AI or not, the read more pointing down is something that.
So that came because the algorithm at LinkedIn wasn't was basically suppressing links because it doesn't want you linking outside of their platform. And so, anyway, but yeah, you start to see that stuff happening and then it starts to just regenerate itself more and more frequently. And I do think that having a novel approach based on human insight is valuable. I was looking at it recently. I had generated something where I was like, okay, I need a head start. And then I was looking at it going, oh my God, this sounds like 700 other things that I just recently read. And I don't want it to. I want it to be me. And it even said, would you like it to sound like you? And I'm like, yeah, let's see what that does. And it didn't. So
So the good news is I do want to read you something at some point, and it is decidedly human.
I
so,
would like,
so,
I would like that is our next segment.
so if you're ready to get to that point where I'm
I am ready.
great, well,
I am
I have
ready.
exciting news. Marie Howe is just a tremendous poet and writer, and on one of my walks, she was reading one of her poems on a podcast that I was listening to. And I thought I would share that with us today because it's actually quite relevant. And it's called One Day. One Day. One day, the patterned carpet, the folding chairs, the woman in the blue suit by the door examining her split ends, all of it will go on without me. I'll have disappeared as easily as a coin under lake water, and few to notice the difference. A coin dropping into the darkening. And West 4th Street, the sesame noodles that taste like too much peanut butter, lowered into the small white paper carton. All of it will go on and on. And the I that caused me so much trouble, nowhere. Or grit thrown into the garden, or into the sticky bodies of several worms, or just gone, stopped, like the Middle Ages. Like the coin Whitman carried in his pocket all the way to the basement bar on Broadway that isn't there anymore. Oh, to be in Whitman's pocket on a cold winter day, to feel his large, warm hand slide in and out and in again, to be taken hold of by Walt Whitman, to be exchanged, to be spent for something somebody wanted and drank and found delicious. That is decidedly not AI.
That is decidedly not AI.
So, on this season of giving thanks, I would like to thank Marie Howe. I would like to thank the artists and the writers and the poets and the essayists and the musicians and those that keep us sane and inspired and warm inside and also conflicted about how we're living and how we should be living. And of course, a thanks to you, my brother, who I love, for coming along this journey with me and for you and the world choosing us to be in this world together. What a gift. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. And I would love to reiterate thanks. I was going to try to join you, but I think you've said it so perfectly, particularly in light of how our discussion today has gone, that I want to leave it there. And I thank you. It's been a fantastic opportunity to share today and every day and every week. And I'm looking forward to many, many more. And I can't wait. So thank you for keeping me uh, artistically grounded. Thank you for giving us a reason to be together. And thank you also for giving our families a way to participate as well.
Amen to that, brother. I will add, though, if I may, as it pertains to
You
things.
may, but we're cutting down.
Yeah,
We're shutting down this episode.
I paused long enough. I paused long enough to give us consideration. Um, I think it's something that is interesting as it pertains to how we edit, how we structure. Um, you know, very recently, Outkast was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And they were inducted alongside the White Stripes, who went in as well. And Jack White gave the um, acceptance speech. Meg was not there. And Outkast followed. And they gave a thanks to Jack for talking about creation in small spaces. And Outkast also spoke about the importance and the gift of creating in small spaces. And I, too, am in a small space here creating along with you. But we also have another tie, and that is to Outkast, which I believe in 2003, just after the release of Speakerboxx, Frank 151 and the team, there it is, Frank, wow, hosted an album release party. And Primo, DJ Premier, was DJing this party. And everybody was excited to greet Outkast as they joined the celebration. It was a school night, or a weeknight, if you will. And I was there with a friend who needed to get home to start her day the next day. But Outkast had yet to arrive. And as someone who enjoys being part of a scene, I was conflicted. But I really didn't have much of a choice. By this point, it was almost midnight or after, and begrudgingly agreed. And as I pivoted to start making my way out of this scene, Andre is in my face, exhaling from a blunt, the biggest cloud of smoke you could imagine or would expect. And it was almost the perfect scene to have this story come along with me, to celebrate and be thankful for a band like Outkast, a group like Outkast, artists like Outkast in this season of thanks as well.
A great memory, a wonderful story. Um, I remember that night, and I didn't remember that you left as Big Boy came in. I did see Big Boy at the party. I definitely remember DJ Premier DJ because that was worth the price of admission. That was enough. Um, and yeah, it was those heady days in New York City, a vibrant city, um, in a creative community. The Frank 151 guys were creating a magazine that was influenced by the culture of the streets and uh, what was a multicultural ethos at the time, and thinking about things that influenced each other: graffiti culture, hip hop culture, skate, surf. Those were all things that were covered by the magazine, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I um I have something to read to you, separate from separate. This is going to be a non sequitur as well, so we'll just keep going. Um, I worked at Leo Burnett in Chicago, and Leo Burnett, as an individual, had a lot of really great sayings. So many that they actually put out a book, 100 Leos. And I just opened the book and said, yeah, you know what? they're all good, but this one works, particularly in light of our discussions at the top of the show, and also some of the things that we have been speaking about as we've been doing this. So this is Leo Burnett. In all out of our planning, I like to feel that we adventurously live on the fringe of the great creative unknown. But if we are properly armed with facts, we are always better prepared to enter it.
I love it. The it reminds me of a Scandinavian saying, and I don't know if it's the Norwegians or the Swedes, but they say there is no cold weather. There is only poor clothing.
We say
And
that in New Hampshire.
and I feel like you are better prepared for creativity and for planning when you have facts with you. And then who knows what can happen?
Who knows what can happen? But we give ourselves an opportunity to create, and we provide ourselves with a framework to create within,
Wow.
and great things can happen.
Yeah, I like that. There are people who talk about creativity inside a box. Creativity comes from inside a box. It's interesting because I think the expectation is that we have to get out of structure in order to create.
Oh, now we're gonna have to go on a tangent. This is great. So saying no is very powerful. And what you don't focus your time and attention on is just as important
Mm.
as what you do. So your idea of, not getting out of the box, but defining the box in which you are creating is somewhat like that statement. It's saying, I'm going to create within here and I'm not going to be distracted by these other things. And I think that far too often we have external distractions and noise. We might try to boil the ocean versus just accepting and doing the thing that feels good, that looks right, and removing the artifice or the stuff from around it.
I never thought about the saying no and the boundary creation as an example of the freedom that we're seeking when we want to leave the box. And I like framing it because that gives the artist control back, right? You're seeking to potentially, you're seeking to leave what you're perceiving as constriction. But what you really want is to define your construct yourself. You don't want it placed upon you.
I agree with that 100%. You want the ability to choose, and that ability to choose allows you to be creative. Uh, yeah, I think that there's so much as we think about it from go.
I was going to say it is my dream to one day have Amanda Williams join us, who is a sensational, fabulous artist, but started her career as an architect. And talk about process,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
She would have some tremendous commentary on this subject.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. We have a
Yeah,
whole host of people that we have been talking about. We just have to actually start to call folks and I think give ourselves the permission. In
amen.
fact,
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
so that's in our time of giving thanks. I'm gonna thank you for giving me permission to start making some calls and getting some people on. So last week it was, hey, we should get somebody from the education world, and somebody actually raised their hand in LinkedIn. So we're gonna reach out to them, and now we've put out into the universe for Amanda to come find us. and we'll do that.
I love it. I love it. I think that's when we're planning. Speaking of planning, when we're planning, it in some ways it just requires more time, or how we use our time to execute our vision. And I will keep that in mind as I move forward into this week.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it as well. All right, man.
Love you, brother.
Love you. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.